In this video, we're going to take a look at the paradox of how schizoid individuals can be hyper-aware of how they're being perceived in the eyes of others, whilst also lacking self-insight. Now, this is something that is rooted in their psychological makeup and stems from early childhood experiences. This phenomenon is going to be more prevalent in the primary schizoid, so it is more related to the primary schizoid dynamics as a consequence of them having formed defenses towards trauma in early infancy before a cohesive self-concept was developed. People could think that, why would somebody who wants to spend time alone and doesn't want to have relationships with others, why would they care about how other people are perceiving them? However, it's not true that all schizoids don't want to have relationships, but the hyper-awareness has got nothing to do with actually forming relationships. If anything, it's to do with avoiding unwanted social interactions, avoiding conflict, and basically fitting in and blending in with the environment. And it's part of the defense mechanism, part of what was formed during childhood in response to having a caregiver that we were out of attunement with. So it's not about being interested in people for the sake of being interested in people, but it's an interest in people for the sake of monitoring and keeping on top of our environment and things that are taking place in our environment for our own safety and self-protection. Due to their emotional detachment, schizoid individuals often adopt a stance of social surveillance. This means that they're constantly scanning the social environment to avoid unwanted attention or emotional intrusion. This hyper-awareness serves as a means to exert control over the social environment, and it helps schizoid individuals to navigate their environment in a way that minimizes the risk of emotional engagement. So, while schizoid individuals are observing others, they remain emotionally detached, and this enables them to keep on top of what's going on around them socially without getting actually involved emotionally. Schizoid individuals use intellectualization as one of their coping mechanisms, and this enables them to remain emotionally detached and to analyze their emotions and look at their emotions logically. And this can be applied to social situations and social interactions, and also their role in social situations and social interactions. And so what this means is there's going to be an awareness of, when they're in social situations, how others are perceiving them and what that means for who they are presenting themselves as a person. So by keeping on top of what's happening in a social environment, schizoid individuals can know what steps they need to take next. So this could mean that when they have to respond in social situations, they're prepared because they understand what's expected of them and what's required of them, and also what other people need of them in social situations. So the hyper-awareness can actually be useful in helping a schizoid individual to understand what they need to do. Because the true self of the schizoid is hidden in social situations, this means that they're not going to be interacting with other people from a place of their true self or from a deep place of emotional feeling or motivation. So primarily in social situations, schizoids are going to be in response mode, and hyperawareness can help them to act fittingly and accordingly to the various situations that they find themselves in. So the question arises that if schizoid individuals are able to perceive themselves through the eyes of others, why then do they tend to lack self-insight? And the reason for this is that the ability to perceive oneself from the perspective of others doesn't really give us true feedback on who we are deep down. Our true self isn't engaged in social interactions, and so we're not getting feedback on our true self. And so you could say that the hyper awareness, the information that we perceive, it tends to be quite superficial, and it doesn't really help us to understand the deeper meaning of our emotions or our internal states. Also, because we are interacting with people in an emotionally detached state, then we're not really putting out our true feelings or influencing our interactions with others in a way that is personally meaningful to us. Schizoid individuals tend to experience depersonalization, which means that we are detached from our inner sense of self or inner sense of being in terms of like identity and self-concept. And so we're not going to be putting out our true personality into the world, and also sometimes it's difficult for us to even read who we are within ourselves because of the underdeveloped self-concept, and also because schizoid's true self is fragmented. And because it's fragmented, it means it's split into different parts. And so different parts require different forms of understanding. And it's not something that's really easy to do, especially without feedback from other people in a genuine, authentic, two-way relationship. So for all of the hyper-awareness and ability to perceive how people are perceiving us, it is genuinely just on a superficial level, and it's not something that can facilitate deep insights or self-awareness